Alright, so episode 5 ended with Garou getting completely obliterated by Orochi, and afterwards, Saitama found a strange hole. After that, we get to the S-Class heroes where we see Child Emperor saying that using the thermographic capabilities of the artificial satellite Shoji Peeper, he scanned the Monster Association's hideout and confirmed the presence of over 500 monsters, which means that each hero must defeat at least 60 monsters. He explains that usually this wouldn't be a problem, but the monster's leadership could present difficulties. He continues and says that just like the Sentikoro, who appeared the other day, they know he's working with the Monster Association, so they may assume more of them are threat level demon, dragon, or even higher, ending it by saying that he was guarding headquarters, so he only fought on Parasite, asking the ones who fought elsewhere what they think, and asking if they were strong. Puri Puri says that they were a mixed bunch. Most were cream puffs, but some were tough enough to threaten him. But now that he has learned to embrace the pain, he says that he will be fine. Zombie Man then asks if it's true that they have taken out Drive Knight, and Child Emperor says that he has no clue, but that he learned of their hideout in City Z before anyone else and went to investigate, but they haven't heard from him since. Atomic Samurai says that he never saw his real face, and now he's gone. Super Alloy Darkshine says that he has a cybernetic body, so they may just be damaged, saying that he could be immobile, in waiting communication, and awaiting rescue. Pig God, who's eating, says that they should hope so, and Zombie Man says that the monsters may defeat them like they did him, telling them all not to let their guard down and to stay sharp. Tatsumaki then adds in by saying that she doubts that they can defeat her. Flashy Flash says that they'll attack without mercy or hesitation, but if they try to negotiate, they mustn't respond. Child Emperor says that he is on point, and that mercy means death. Suddenly, however, Puri Puri puts his hand up and asks a question. He says that they seduced some guys and monsterized them, right? He looks dead serious and says that he wants to save those guys, so if they see monsters in prison, they're his. Atomic Samurai then tells him that one of his old comrades became a monster and that he had to slay him, looking deadly towards Puri Puri, and asks if there is a way to save the monsterized. Puri Puri, however, just says that he intends to try a combo of Angel Hug and Awakening Kiss, which, yeah, makes Atomic Samurai take it all back. We then get back to Flashy Flash, who says that the monster King Orochi and their strategist Yoro are almost certainly threat-level dragon. Zombie Man adds on and says that they are strong enough to unite an army of monsters, so he would rather not fight one alone. Tatsumaki then, funnily enough, says that it's right, and that's why she will handle the last boss while they clear the small fry out of her way. Flashy Flash looks at her, looking pretty annoyed, and tells her that this isn't her decision to make. Tatsumaki then asks him if he wants to fight the boss and says that she is doing this for them and calls them weaklings. Flashy Flash just looks away and tells someone to silence her, or this meeting is pointless. The Child Emperor then tells him to chill out, and he thinks that he hates running Class S meetings. After that, Zombie Man lights up a cigarette and says that they aren't here to conduct traffic, but that this is a hostage rescue with monster eradication as a bonus, telling them all not to forget about that and launch an attack that levels the place, talking mainly to Tatsumaki. The Child Emperor then says that his survey has yet to reveal the location of the boss, and their hideout is wide and deep. Super Alloy Darkshine says that whether against Pipsqueaks or a boss, a fight is unavoidable. He looks pumped up as he says that if he runs into a monster, then he will take it down. Flashy Flash then says that if they knew the locations of the boss and hostages, they could manage with fewer numbers, asking why they think that they waited for heroes to gather. Which, honestly, I'm kind of lost right here. But Child Emperor tells him to stop, and then suddenly, Sweet Mask enters the room. He says that he noticed no one was in the ready room, saying that he is on the team, and asking why they are having a meeting without him. Child Emperor tells him that they aren't excluding him, but that the Class S heroes wanted to meet beforehand to exchange information. Sweet Masks asks why it's only the Class S heroes, and says that there are other heroes on the team like him. The Child Emperor then looks lost and thinks that other classes are going to be surface backup, thinking that he knew that he would complain, so he was going to tell him at the last minute, wondering how he can put this so he won't be offended. Tatsumaki then adds fuel to the fire as she says that it's because they all hate him, and Child Emperor screams, saying that it's not true, and telling Tatsumaki not to make this worse. Sweet Mask then looks mad and understands that they want him as support, and tells Child Emperor to explain himself. He says that there are two teams, the attack team, which will infiltrate underground, and the support team, which will stand by above ground, telling Sweet Mask that they need his leadership ability as commander of the support team. Atomic Samurai then adds that while they penetrate the depths, they can mop up the leftovers, but that he himself will, of course, take his pupils. Sweet Mask then says that it won't be enough, and that he is also going in. The Child Emperor just looks like he's about to lose it, and says that he knew that he would say that. Tatsumaki then says that she will make it clear and that his level is too low for this fight, so he isn't on the team. Anyway, Sweet Mask then completely ignores Tatsumaki and tells Child Emperor that he doesn't understand and that if he wanted his leadership ability, then he should place himself under his command. Zombie Man then joins the fun little conversation and asks if Sweet Mask means that he wants them to be under him, telling him that he shouldn't do any more dumb jokes as his name is already enough, saying that if he wants glory, then he can claim his feats. But he tells him to listen to Child Emperor as they are going to fight a horde of monsters and that they can't hold each other back. Sweet Mask then looks at him intensely and asks Zombie Man why he is undying and calls it creepy before saying that maybe he is actually a monster. Zombie Man then glares back at him and asks him what he said. Sweet Mask says that he's got the combat skills for Class S, but the rest of him is a mystery, asking if he can really view him as an ally. Super Alloy Darkshine then tells them both to stop it, as they shouldn't go at each other, but still, Sweet Mask continues and says that it doesn't look like he is giving his best and that he isn't fulfilling the responsibility that comes with strength. Tatsumaki then pipes up and says that he is an idol on the side and calls it weird, saying that he isn't even that handsome. Sweet Mask then says that they only became heroes because management ordered it, otherwise they are just dangerous freaks who can fight. He says that he will use their talents appropriately and more efficiently, ending it by telling them to follow his orders. We then get to Puri Puri's thoughts, who thinks that he's so forceful and that being his slave might not be so bad. However, Flashy Flash doesn't agree, as he looks pissed as he tells Sweet Mask to make them obey him if he can. Sweet looks even more furious as he asks him if he doesn't believe that he can. But before it can get any further, Atomic Samurai says that this is no joke and tells Flash to stop it. But a Flashy Flash doesn't stop it, as he just continues. But just then, someone screams that King is here, and he walks in with such an insane aura. Sweet Mask tells him that he's just in time, and says that he wants him under his command. He then asks King why he is so filthy, and says that he stinks. King says that he had just gotten home, so he had to leave before he could change clothes. Sweet Mask then asks him why he is so late and where he has been, and King is shocked that he's being questioned, thinking that he never liked him. King then says that it isn't worth explaining, and is about to say that he had gotten hot pot, but the guys around him say that he spent the whole night near the enemy hideout waging full-scale war alone. King just wonders to himself why they always get the wrong idea. Meanwhile, Sweet Mask and all of the other Class S heroes get super inspired and impressed by that. After that, Sweet Mask begins to leave, but before he does, he says that he will be on the attack team and that he won't budge on that. The Child Emperor then goes to the King and says that he can't fight all alone, saying that, like him, the Drive Knight went for recon in the ghost town, but they lost contact with him and the King just says, sure, while looking super scared and dead inside. After that, we get to an elevator where we see Sitch saying that each day when he sees this sight, he vows to learn from past mistakes and says that this is a very critical moment. Sekingar agrees and says that the support team has 15 members and that they will soon depart. Sitch says that they remain at a distinct disadvantage. He then asks Sekingar if he will go to the scene of the battle. He says that he will and that he will be responsible for seeing this through. Sitch then says that he misjudged him and that he has a backbone. After that, they walk out and we meet a ton of heroes, for example, Class B Captain Mizuki, who, when Sitch asked if she understood the mission, says that it's to support Class S heroes. Sitch then continues and talks about the hostage and the Class A hero. Feather says that the hostage is some big shot's kid, but not to worry, as they will do their job. We also quickly see the Class A hero's one-shotter and Crescent Moon Thick Brows, the Class C hero Gearspur, and the Class B hero Needlestar. Sitch looks a bit worried about this selection of heroes, but before he can question it, he gets called out, and it's because Silverfang is here. Silverfang, or Bang, meets up with Sitch. But Sitch then remembers Sekingar telling him not to tell anything to Bang. But still Bang asks Sitch if he has learned anything about Garu's whereabouts, and says that he suspects that he's with the Monster Association. Sitch tells him that nothing has turned up. He then says that it's great that he and King defeated the Centiquairo, but he asks him why he let Garu go afterwards, and asks if a monster really did intervene. Bang asks if he means that he did it on purpose. Sitch then apologizes, and says that there's just a lot going on right now, and he then leaves. After that, Bomb tells him that they don't trust him, and that maybe they think that he didn't finish off Garu because he held back, but Bang then says that he didn't hold back. After that, we see King, who was going to hide and then escape, but Bang asks him what he is doing. King is shocked, but asks him what he is doing here. Bang says that he had a matter, but asks why he is here. King then explains that they summoned Class S heroes and brought him here. Bang then says that he didn't hear anything about it, and King says that they weren't supposed to say anything to him. Bang then puts his hand around King and says that they shared a hot pot, so he has to tell him, and he then folds and reveals everything. Bang then says that if they are shutting him and Genos out, they must not trust Genos and him. Bang then asks King if Saitama knows that the hideout is in the ghost town, but he says that he doesn't think that he does, and that if he did, then he would have gone all alone. King says that the attack team will enter the ruins of City Z and attack through various routes, and that they've also assigned him to a location. After that, he says that he needs to ask something. He asks Bang and Bomb if they, Saitama and Genos, will secretly accompany him in his attack. Bang says that Garou should be there, and that, in order to fulfill his responsibility, he will go with him. After that, they decide to meet up at Saitama's apartment, and King then leaves, thinking that it's a big relief that they will join. After that, King meets up with the other Class S heroes, and with everyone ready, including the other heroes, they decide to roll out. After that, we see Fubuki, who thinks that the association contacted her for the big fight, but then they told her to stand down, and even ordered her to stay away. Fubuki thinks that it has to have been Tatsumaki, as she still refuses to accept her ability, but she is still determined to have her revenge on the Monster Association. After that, we see Genos, who looks insanely cool, and he thinks that he bothered Dr. Kuseno with a considerable request, but that he gave him the upgrade Master Saitama suggested, saying that he increased the horsepower without reducing armor, so he now must be able to regulate himself as he fights. He looks at his hand and says that if he fights at full power, then he will pass the machinery's endurance and break, and to only use it as a last resort, and if he does, then he'll have a 10-second window, as his body cannot withstand anymore. He may be a cyborg, but he will die if his energy core explodes. After that, he bumps into Fubuki and asks her what she wants, and says that she cannot come and visit whenever she likes. Fubuki asks why not, as he is always here. Genos says that his status as a master's pupil justifies his presence. Besides, he pays rent for his room, which is funny, as Fubuki says that he owns this building and that he's taking advantage of Genos. Anyway, they walk into his room, but quickly notice that he is nowhere to be seen. Genos notices that his hero costume is gone and that maybe something happened. Just then, Bang and Bomb also come by. Genos tells them that Saitama isn't here, and Bang says that it's too bad since they planned on attacking the monster lair. Genos is in shock that they know where it is, and Bomb says that, apparently, it's around here, right under their noses, which shocks both Genos and Fubuki. We then see King, who is outside, and thinks that he has gotten away. But just then they spot him, and he goes right into action mode as he acts like a true hero. But just then, Bang tells him that Saitama is out, which shocks King as it's almost time for the assault. Just then, both Genos and Bang turns to King and asks what they should do. King, on the other hand, has no idea what to say, but that's when Fubuki says that they should wait for Saitama. However, Fubuki just gets ignored by the others, and Genos says that if King is late, then it will burden the other heroes, and he thinks that the rest of them should go ahead. Meanwhile, he waits for Saitama, telling them that he will catch up to them later. Bang says that it sounds good. Meanwhile, King looks terrified as they are going without Saitama. After that, they move out, and we see King, who's still trembling and thinks that he doesn't like this. And then we see Saitama being in some sort of underground, probably already on his way to Orochi and Gyoro. After that, we get to the other heroes, and Child Emperor says that they have arrived. Twin Tail says that this place, humanity, has abandoned it, and another one says that today they will take it back. Suddenly, Child Emperor says that King is gone and asks where he is. Funeral Suspender says that they saw him running off, but that King told him not to worry, and that he was going to take up position early to make sure that their attack goes according to the schedule. Mizuki then says that it's too bad, and says that she was hoping to see his moves up close. The Child Emperor then looks sad as he wonders why King didn't tell him directly, and wonders if it's because he is a child. Green, however, just says that he has his own way of doing things. Needlestar adds on that even on his own, he'll fight like a boss. Suddenly, Zombie Man tells them to look ahead, and there they can see a ton of monsters beginning to appear, and Zombie Man says that they brought out the welcome wagon. Super Alloy Darkshine says that there's a bunch of them, and then Iain tells Atomic Samurai that he senses them behind too. Atomic Samurai, however, says that it's not just behind them, but above them too, and Twin Tail says that they are surrounded. Just then, something appears right in front of them, and Child Emperor wonders if it's an old rag, but suddenly everything around them starts to act weirdly as buildings start to crash, and monsters appear legit everywhere. Sekingar says that Gyoro promised them a fair fight, but says that this is a trap. Feather says that it doesn't matter, as they will wipe them out either way, and he then right away gets into fighting position. After that, a bunch of lower heroes start to freak out. Meanwhile, Tatsumaki looks over at this strange monster ahead of them. He's called Jagan, and his level of threat is currently unknown. He calls them pitiful, and says that he expected the Hero Association to send its full strength, but is amazed that it's just them. Even the monsters behind them start to laugh. Child Emperor says that the number of surrounding heat signatures is above 150, and it's still rising. Tatsumaki then tells him that it's enough with his toys, and says that there's no point in counting them. Puri Puri then tells everyone that is worried to stand behind him, but just then, Jagan starts to act as he says that what deserves counting is their sins. And after that, he lifts his finger, and the whole ground starts to shake, and buildings start to collapse and reform the battlefield. However, that's far from everything, as he then lifts those buildings up into the sky and is directing them towards the heroes, and everyone is freaking out and saying that he is using psychic powers. Meanwhile, Tatsumaki looks super unfazed. Jagan then says that unfortunately for them, these eyes belong to monsters they killed, saying that he was weak in paranormal ability, but then Gyoro implanted them within him. Now he used their combined residual hatred to amplify his powers. He continues and says that here at this moment of their revenge, they will wail, and he then sends 3 huge buildings towards them. Everyone is freaking out, but then Tatsumaki just simply swipes her finger, and a force field starts to protect everyone. Jagan looks super confused, and then we see the heroes saying that they are saved. But just as they are about to thank Tatsumaki, she takes away the force field, and the stone starts dropping on them. Sekingar tells her to protect them until the end. But Tatsumaki just asks them why she has to protect everyone. Just then, Puri Puri goes in and tries to protect some of the heroes. Meanwhile, Super Alloy Darkshine also comes in and takes the stones head on to protect the others. And the amazing thing is that he comes out totally unscratched. We then get to Sekingar, who asks Tatsumaki what's wrong and how she can say that. Tatsumaki just tells him that if he can't do anything for himself, then they should leave, and calls him useless, but not only him, as she calls everyone in her way. Sweet Mask then says that he agrees. He says that they are here to lend support and not hold them back. Besides, they knew this would happen, asking them if they are too scared to move. Needle Star just wonders if he isn't also on the support team, but Sweet Mask continues and says that if they are heroes, then they need to show them what they've got. We then get to Tatsumaki, who tells Jagan that he powered up by combining some small fry, telling him that if that's the best that he can do, then he should give up. Jagan is silent before saying that Tatsumaki's sister is also a psychic, so he has an idea, telling her that he will rip out her eyes as well as hers, and fusing with them will be an interesting experiment. But that's when Tatsumaki gets serious and says that for a trash bag like him, he sure talks a lot, telling him that she will teach him a lesson. She then looks manic and says that this is what happens if they lay a finger on them, and suddenly both of them flies up to the sky. Jagan tells her not to be ridiculous, and then a huge tornado starts to form around them, separating them from the others. But as the heroes are watching this go down, the monsters uses that to their advantage, and goes in to strike them down. But then, Twintail kills one of them and tells them not to underestimate them, explaining that they are more than capable of protecting themselves. Which, yeah, Twintail shows is true, as we see him destroying the monsters coming to them. After that, Twintail says that they juggle dark artifacts until their opponent's heartbeat stops. After that, we see another monster who has a sniper in their hand, and they are looking right to Twintail. The monster explains that while the attention of the strong one who can stop bullets and use barriers is elsewhere, they will sit here at a distance and pick them off one by one. However, as they fire off their bullet, we see another bullet coming right towards them. Because of that, their bullets clash with each other, and the other one wins and smashes right through the monster's head. And we see that it was the work of one shotter. All of the heroes around him are just questioning what he really shot. But after that, the monster starts rushing at him, telling him that he has messed up by revealing where he is, but without even looking back. One shotter is able to kill them off in no time, asking them if they really thought that he couldn't handle close combat. And after that, he just continues to wreak absolute havoc as he takes down a ton of monsters. However, it isn't only him, as other heroes such as Green and Narcissistic are also putting up a great fight. And as Sweet Mask sees Narcissistic, he even admits that he has never seen anyone like that and says that he's got star power. Adding on to those heroes, we also see Feather and Shadow Ring going very nuts and killing off a bunch of monsters on their own. Flashy Flash himself even goes to Shadow Ring and compliments his moves and asks him where he trained his ninja arts. However, he runs off, saying that he isn't like Flashy Flash. We then get to Child Emperor, who says that they are exceeding their expectations and that there's no need to worry. Anyway, now I don't want to bore you guys by going over all of the heroes, as I feel like the anime will skip most of it. But anyway, we see a ton of heroes doing their absolute best fighting of the monsters. After that, we get back to Child Emperor, who thinks that the enemy commander must have known these pipsqueaks would lose. However, he says that he suspects that the goal wasn't just to wear them out. After that, a hero screams out that more are closing in, and more of them starts to appear. But suddenly a huge one comes pushing all of them out of the way, and it's like a huge rhino, who says that he will handle it. He screams out that them heroes walked right into this, and that he is going to waste them, saying that Orochi and their leaders won't even have to fight.